wife, in relation to my parents, to my children, to my friends, to all of you, my community. Relationships have a very specific purpose, and it's something that I've come to realize through my relationship with my wife. My wife and I married when I was 18 years old. What was that? Oh, yeah. Not recommended. Right, Josh? Oh, Josh is gone. Not recommended, but we've been through a lot of ups and downs over our marriage, and some of them big, some of them little. And anyone who's married will agree that it seems like you and your wife are opposites, right? When you first meet each other, or you and your partner, or you first meet each other, you feel like you have so much in common, but as years go by, as time goes by, you realize that you're like total opposites, right? And I work in the field of marriage and family education, and every couple that I meet thinks that they're the most opposite in the whole world. And that's how I feel, right? And for example, a small example is I love you, saying I love you, right? Normally when you say I love you to a significant person in your lives, what's the normal response? I love you. I love you too. Or at least what? I know. She's nervous. You know what my wife says? She says, okay. If anything, that's what she said. No, I didn't get permission to share that story either. That's a small example. Bigger example would be when we were living in Tokyo together. We lived there for a year together in a very condensed, very expensive $2,000 a month apartment in downtown Tokyo, right next to Tokyo Tower. It was really stressful. It felt like living in an incubator or like a pressure cooker. And that was definitely the bottom point in our relationship, in our marriage. And I went into my marriage and our relationship really with very high expectations and concepts about what marriage should be. And it should be this. For example, you should say I love you, right? This is what I literally thought. If you said I love you to someone, they have to say I love you back. And we still even argue about it. It's like, I say I love you. Why don't you say it? I don't want. But you have to. Like, this is literally how I think. You have to. If you don't, you don't love me, you know? But imagine how loved she feels and I feel when I realize that that's just not how she grew up. That's not the culture she comes from. That's not the person she is. To say I love you, never in her family. And when I understood that, and I accept that, and I kind of grow my capacity to accept that about her, imagine the develop in the relationship we can build from there, right? And this happens in all relationships, right? And when we're back to the Tokyo story, this was the bottom point in our relationship. I had all these expectations. This was when we were first living together in Japan, in Tokyo. I had like all these expectations about what a wife should be, what a wife should say, and she was not a lot of the things, the concepts that I had in mind. I'm American, she's Japanese, raised in Japan. I was born and raised here in America. And it got pretty bad to the point where I was like, I remember going outside and I was so frustrated, and we're fighting, and I just left the apartment, and I was like doing this, and I was like throwing my backpack, and all the Japanese people like, you know, American guy just throwing his arms around. So that was like when I realized that, and that was the bottom point, when I realized that I had all these concepts about what a relationship should be, that it had to be perfect. I had concepts that my relationship with my wife had to be perfect at all times. And through this experience and talking with her and going through that rock bottom experience, I realized that the purpose of a relationship is not perfection. It's not even happiness. Happiness is a byproduct of what? Happiness is a byproduct of us growing through the relationship together. Of us learning every day. If today I can say, I love this person, I accept this person more than I did yesterday, that is fulfilling the purpose of that relationship. And that to me is what the marriage blessing is. For anyone that's not familiar with the blessing is, it's a tradition that the founders of our movement, the Family Federation, started in 1960. And to me, what the marriage blessing is a commitment to love and to get to know each other on the basis that, and the knowledge that we're going to continue to grow and love each other every day and every year together. Not that we're trying to create this perfect thing, this perfect machine, or look great, but we're trying to grow and little by little expand our capacity to love each other and to love people, and developing our growth. So that's when I realized that the purpose of relationship is growth. It's just growing. And that's what this living room is about. We're just trying to expand that kind of feeling, that kind of thing. Not everything is perfect with the living room. This is our first time doing it. But we want to expand that kind of energy, that kind of, we're not perfect individuals. My wife and I still argue about this I love you thing or whatever. But she's probably going to say something later and be like, I'm going to be like, well, whatever. So it's the point of the living room is to help us grow and expand our love for each other, support each other, okay? So on that note, I just wanted to mention also Mr. Fuji's card. We want to write him a Get Well Soon card, so if you could just write a short message and sign your name, I think they would really appreciate that kind of support from our community. That would be great. All right, thank you.